What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the Crypto Junkie channel, where we talk about all things, you guessed it, crypto. So I wanted to come back around to the conversation of all this talk of digital asset and digital asset securities, which is in this new regulation that's being presented. And really, I want to talk about where DeFi fits and the conversation of utility and NFTs. And so we didn't really get a good chance to talk about that, so I wanted to come back around to that. In the last week, we've had both Powell and Gensler come out and say that, crypto's not going anywhere. Well, I mean, it's $3 trillion market cap. So yeah, I'd agree with you. It's not going anywhere, guys. So I think they wanted to put that message out there and be clear that they have no plans of trying to kibosh it or get rid of it, kind of like what you've heard out of China, banning mining. I don't think that that's, on the agenda here. I think that they're going to have a huge issue with trying to classify DeFi projects, and there's quite a few of them, thousands, and even altcoins that weren't really considered DeFi could easily spin DeFi now as long as they can show utility. And I think that's the conversation to be had here, because this securities test is just so black and white, and it's kind of dog shit in its own right, but it won't fit all of these projects as well. And if they can prove utility, and if they take, and they pay their corporate taxes on it if they're US based, like what Solana just did, then I think that actually puts them in a better place long term in terms of, the utility conversation. Yeah, I think that if they can prove that they are a part of an ecosystem that does provide utility, I'm not sure what that test would be. Maybe a new test is required, or, maybe just taking it on a case-by-case basis and trying to run it through the securities test that, maybe they'll be able to come up with an outcome. I just think it's kind of, it's kind of silly to run, so many squares in a round hole and every single object and shape like it is a square when it might not be. And so that's kind of my thoughts on DeFi. I think, like I said, I think it's going to be incredibly hard. Now, one thing that will matter, and I don't know if this will benefit projects or hamstring projects, but the centralization, the DAOs, how those are structured, who's got access to the admin keys, are these people doxxed, are they anonymous? I think those are going to be deeper questions that unfortunately will get the more decentralized projects, I assume, will get more of a scrutiny passed on them than centralized projects that could give backdoor access, or they're tracking, full ledger of what's happening and occurring depending on what chain that they're on. I think that, those will probably get better, more favorable terms than a decentralized version, right? And it's only because that's really what the US wants out of this, is they just want to be able to keep better track of it. You think it's sinister or not, doesn't really matter, but they want to keep better track of it. We can all agree on that. Now, in terms of NFTs, I don't really see those falling into this category at all, is because I see those as 100% just like trading baseball cards, just like Pogs, Beanie Babies, any other speculative art bubble that, goes through its phases, Pokemon cards. I mean, the securities laws do not apply to any of those things, and I really don't think it applies to NFTs. Now, it starts to become trickier when it's not just the NFT art itself, but when that project has its own coin and or its own marketplace. You start to get into some federal laws that might apply, or, selling online rules that might apply. I'm not sure yet. And also too, then, depending on what the token does, if it doesn't do anything at all, and there really is no utility in the ecosystem, and there's no point to there being a token or a coin behind the NFT project, you might see some trouble there. But for an NFT that spins out on somebody else's chain, like an ETH chain or something like that, I really see no issue in terms of securities laws. Now, again, this whole video, and I'm not talking as a lawyer or anything, but I'm using common sense here in talking through this. I don't really think that space will have as much of an issue as maybe some of the altcoins themselves. I guess we'll just have to see. I think overall that to have some sort of rules and boundaries is always good. It's like, could you imagine playing any sport without rules, or, things of that sort? So I'd like to compare it like that, where I think at least a set of general boundaries are good, like here's the end zones, here's infield, outfield, etc. I do think those things are good. And then kind of allow that gap for freedom of discovery and innovation and so on and so forth. I think that's important as well. So I think that they're facing an incredibly challenging space. They probably should have started working down this path a lot sooner than 2021. I would have loved to see something happen after 2017 when there was a record amount of, $3 or $4 billion lost from Ponzi schemes. It would have been nice, back then. But we've got it now. So anyways, that's my thoughts, and kind of catching us up on where we're at with securities conversation over the last week or so. So if you like this sort of thing, or you got something to say, comment below. Like the video if you want to help us build our community and get this in front of more people. If you're brand new here, hit the red button, subscribe now, and the bell notification, turn it to all. We'll see you again real soon in another video.